I love America. Well, almost anywhere in this nation, you can live in a neighborhood that's a shining example of our great diversity and open-armed attitude towards one another. Well, your next-door neighbor could be Rob. He's this great guy who recently became a huge health nut. Well, sure, he weighs 400 pounds, and the first thing you see every morning is his hairy ass hanging out of his gym shorts, bobbing up and down like a jello mole, but hey, he's trying. Well, kind of like Valerie and Naomi, the lesbians who live down the street. They have such a beautiful family. Well, they acquired their adopted daughter, Ming, for 3 easy installments of $29.99 to www.ebaby.china.gov/abhorrent human rights abuse. But it could be worse. Well, consider David, the homeless heroin junkie that lives in the dumpster behind your house. Well, sure, he's a shaking, menacing figure that could snap at any moment, but hey, he's got a disease. Well, any of us could live in a neighborhood just like this one. But none of you want to. You see, we publicly accept Rob, Valerie, and Naomi, and David because rejecting them might make us look bad. Well, Americans love to get that gushy feeling in their pants by failing to reject popular ideas and beliefs. Well, now I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to be open to new ideas and beliefs, but this isn't Pokemon. I mean, you can't accept them all. So in order to avoid the hypocrisy of popular acceptance, we need to examine the problems, causes, and solutions related to our inability to reject. Oh, and reject my preview for being uninspired. I dare you. Well, America's the land of the free and the home of the braves. So however we express ourselves, it should be totally accepted. Although after seeing an artist's interpretation of the Virgin Mary painted in human feces, maybe we shouldn't accept everything. Oh, you mean I don't let my senile grandfather get away with it? What? Oh, you think what I'm saying about my dear old Grampy Poo's a little harsh? Well, that's the problem. As a society, we are so afraid to call anything a bunch of crap. I mean, even a crappy painting made of crap can't be called crap. Well, the problem is that something becomes popular. Then we all jump on the bandwagon, only to figure out that we don't believe in said thing, but it's so popular that we can't get off of the bandwagon. Well, let me give you an example. The most recent popularized bandwagon is blaming SUVs and their owners for everything from terrorism to oil reserve depletion to the number of men in their 30s referring to their cars the shaggin' wagon. But as the February 29th, 2003 edition of the New York Times explains, until like 5 minutes ago, SUVs were bigger than mullets at the Daytona 500. But now we've all got a hypocritical haircut. Oh no, no more party in the back. We're all business. And our business is tailoring our acceptance to fit a 1-minute fad. Popularized bandwagons marginalize your individual voice. When you jump on, that voice just fades into the background of a 1-minute craze. But these crazes are leading to even bigger problems, like blind acceptance. Now, unless you've been in a coma for the past year because you got hit by an SUV, it should come as no surprise with the January 12, 2003 edition of the Montreal Gazette explains about the Catholic Church's response to the sexual abuse charges. Well, they stated that the accused clergymen would continue to work, and that their identities would remain secret. Or in other words, they couldn't get fired and they got a freebie. Oh, now I'm not saying that all priests are bad. I mean, I was an altar boy for like 10 years and I never got hit on, no matter how much I tried. But the protection we're giving these men is absurd. Society's accepted the church's secrecy on this issue. Instead of making these men of the cloth go to jail like any normal sex offender and become someone's dirty little prayer man with soft hands. Well, so how can this... You still don't get it, do you? Well, here's the whole problem laid down in a late 80s metaphor just for the judges. Well, this problem's a lot like those hypercolored shirts. Remember, we all thought they were so cool, so we ran out and bought them, only to figure out that the only way to make them work was to sweat. So we ended up looking like a bunch of morons running around in red t-shirts with yellow hypercolored pit stains. And that stinks. So how can we solve this problem? Well, first we can examine the ideas of what's going on in America. Basically, because everyone seems to have a cause these days, and they're speaking in loud, uninformed voices for them. Well, my loud and uninformed voice is going to be speaking on two. Well, first, we're going to examine how we just won't look bad when it comes to rejecting. But second, because we just don't understand the definition of tolerance, we refuse to reject. Well, first, we refuse to look bad because, and trust me on this one, no one likes to be called an overbearing, skinny Sam Kinison. But as the PR Newswire of August the 25th of 2003 explains, that after the Boy Scouts of America won their lawsuit for not accepting a homosexual leader, many organizations pulled their donations away from the Boy Scouts, not because they disagreed with what they were doing, but because they just didn't want to look bad. We're so busy condemning others for refusing to accept that oftentimes we forget that we don't believe in these things either. I mean, rights are rights, and if you don't want someone in your private organization, that's your right. And Caleb, if you want to dress up like a Boy Scout and figure out how many boat knots it takes to tie up your girlfriend, right on. And it's 4. But as a society, we have decided that tolerance means acceptance and understanding. But as my trusty Black's Law Dictionary with pronunciations explains, tolerance is to allow so as not to hinder, to permit of something that is not wholly accepted of. To suffer, to endure. Well, notice the lack of terms such as to promote or to throw a parade for. Well, the PR Newsweek of August the 15th of 2003 explains and introduces us to www.tolerance.org, updated whenever the hell I say it is. Well, this website explains to parents how to talk to their kids about tolerance in our diverse world. Well, to paraphrase our website, it explains that tolerance equals acceptance, which equals happiness, like hugs and Jell-O, wrestling. Oh, you see, tolerance.org makes tolerance equal acceptance when they just don't. So how can we save the American dream? Well, much like the AA, it's a 12-step method, but we're going to skip the first 9, mostly because it involves heavy drinking, smoking the fattest doobie you've ever seen, and watching a lot of Golden Girls. But the last three are really important. Because first, we need to start rejecting in small amounts, which will second, allow us to start believing in ourselves and standing up for those beliefs. And finally, give us the ability to hate people for who they are and what they believe in. Well, most people say that no is the most powerful word there is, and they're right. Hey, Lacey, want to make out with me after the round? No? Okay, well, People magazine on May the 27th of 2002 introduces us to a group of waitresses in New York, who on August the 26th of last year created the rejection line. Well, this phone number is printed on business cards that they can then give to patrons who hit on them. When they call this number, the voice states that the person that gave this to you never wants to see you or talk to you ever again. Well, isn't that what America's all about? I mean, kicking a tunnel stranger when you're down. Okay, maybe not, but just to make sure that it's real, I'm going to make these cards available after the round. Because I've got millions of them. But second, by the small amount of rejection, it will allow us to start believing in ourselves and standing up for those beliefs. God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. The January 2002 edition of In Style magazine introduces us to the story of Tim McGraw, who after his first recording session was told that he would never make it in the country music business, but old Timmy, he kept right on singing, and now he's married to Faith Hill. Well, if that's not the American dream, I sure as hell don't know what it is. Okay, enough of this touchy-feely crap. I mean, Rob, me and you, we're never going to end up like Faith Hill and Tim McGraw. We'll be lucky if we're like the Captain and Tennille. Which is why we need to learn to hate people for who they are and what they believe in. I mean, I don't hate feminists because they're women or because they wear that femininity around like a prostitute wears a skirt. You know, I don't even hate Democrats because they're all pinko commie tree huggers or because they want to take rights away from citizens down to the point that there is a guy in my bathroom waiting to wipe my ass after I go to the bathroom and then charge me for the tissue paper. No, I hate them because they would argue that President Bush can't speak well, but glorify President Clinton's ability to get his chicken choked in the Oval Office by an overweight intern, which they would probably do too, which is why we can chalk up the liberal guilt anyway. It's not funny, don't laugh. Don't laugh, it's not funny. Because I see some of you, you don't agree with what I'm saying, and that's fine. But you got to tolerate it. But that doesn't mean you have to accept it. Well, go ahead. Reject me. Because that's the point. You see, you should stand up against things that are excessive or outrageous, like that rant. But mostly, you should just stand up for things that you believe in, even if it does mean hating a very, very talented speaker. Ah, what I do for my art. So today, we've examined the problems, causes, and solutions related to our inability to reject. You still don't want to live in my neighborhood? Well, that's okay. But hopefully all of you have realized the same thing that I have, that by this point in my speech, you're either going to accept it or you're going to reject it. You're going to get something out of it or you're not. And either way, that's your responsibility.